get into the theater and the usher nods me in. They know me here. I descend down the staircase behind the movie screen that only select people know about. The door at the bottom opens and I walk in. The sound of movie spoilers fill the air. The barkeep has my drink ready and motions me to the back. The rest of the crew are here already. This is my type of place, and these are my type of people. Join me as we discuss the inner secrets of cinema. Have a seat in the spoiler room.
And here we are, another episode of the Spoiler Room. Thanks for journeying down here the steps and pulling up a chair. And tonight, big surprise, we're talking about a superhero film, a big superhero film that came out just this past weekend. It is the sequel to Deadpool, aptly named Deadpool 2. And tonight I've got a great crew assembled here to talk about Deadpool 2. First off, she is back in the spoiler room. It is the diva of the spoiler room. It is Dawn. Hello, Dawn.
Hello, Mark. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi,
hello. Glad you could join us. And next to Dawn is the BFD himself with his Gorilla Zord and all. It is Mr. Glenn Bittner. Hello, Glenn.
Hi.
Are you good? Are you our cable?
Sure.
Sure.
But I'm not Thanos.
But you're not Thanos, no. You're not the purple people eater. So and next to the BFD is the bow tie wearing man, Mr. Paul Salzer. Hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got my lucky tie on today.
Ooh. Feeling lucky, punk? No, that's a different movie. But glad to have you back in the spoiler room as well. And yes, we are talking about Deadpool 2. And Glenn, do you want to tell our fine listeners what Deadpool 2 is about?
Sure. So, Deadpool likes killing guys. That's what he does. Well, bad guys. He kills bad guys. Bad guys don't like being killed, and bad guys like to get revenge. So they do that by attacking Deadpool at his house because, he still lives in an apartment with his lady, who, of course, gets killed, which sends Deadpool off the edge. Colossus is such a good guy, he tries to give him a hand. That doesn't work because when you throw in child molesters, I don't know if they were, molesting, they were abusing, child abusers. That makes Deadpool go, well, I'm just going to shoot you now. Not a good X-Men thing. So Colossus gets all mad. Deadpool goes to jail with this kid who was all like, hey, my hands, flame, what is he?
Fire Fist.
Fire Fist. Yeah, that was a bad name. Fire Fist. And then, of course, there's a monster in the jail. Then he gets broken out of jail because Cable shows up to kill the kid. Because the kid will grow up to be bad, unless things change. So, of course, Cable comes back to kill the kid. Deadpool's like, wait, no, he's a kid. I can reach him because, when I'm not just killing guys for killing guys, well, then, I'm going to save kids because, I'm the Merc with a mouth, but I also have a heart. And then lots of fighting. Juggernaut shows up and is like, hey, I'm Juggernaut. I'm huge. Rips Deadpool in half. Deadpool gets, baby dick. Cable comes around and says, hey, I need your help doing this. As soon as you grow your legs back, we can go do this. Peter gets acid and dies, along with everyone else except for Domino, who's amazing. And they eventually, turn the kid around and be like, hey, all good now. All good in the hood. And then Deadpool goes back in time with Cable's thing and fixes everything.
Wow. And there you go, folks. Have a good night, all. We're done. Glenn covered it all. No. Excellent summary on that. Yes, Deadpool 2. I want to go down the line now and get everyone's initial reaction with this because I know how I felt about this when the credits rolled, especially the mid-credit sequence, which we'll go into a little later. So we'll just hold off on that because, that mid-credit sequence. But this, Phil, Dawn, how'd you feel about this, Phil, when it was said and done, when the credits were rolling? Did you feel that it was actually an improvement on the first one?
To a point, yes. It definitely took that. It definitely was a lot of fun. I mean, it went so much more over the top. than the first one did. It just threw caution to the wind, which was fantastic to see. And I love that they I love that they decided to cross boundaries because they could, because they were what in the MCU would be considered a low budget movie, so they could do things that their other high budget movies could not do, such as have an openly gay couple.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Kiko. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Wade.
Yes, Yukio. That's what it is. Hi, Yukio. Oh, yeah, you're right. They were able to do a lot more liberty because they aren't necessarily attached to the MCU, therefore not under the thumb of the producers who have this master plan. And yeah, it was very impressive with the way they let loose. Glenn, how'd you feel about this with it? Did you feel it was an improvement at all over the first one and that they went really over the top with this?
I definitely think it was an improvement over the first one. I could have done without the fridging. But aside from that, yeah, I think it was definitely an improvement over the original.
The fridging, did you say?
Yeah, when they kill off the girlfriend.
Oh yes,
it's the standard trope is yes. Put them in the fridge, kill them off. So because that's the only way apparently to motivate a hero, or in this case anti-hero, is by killing the woman they love, because there's no other way to get a guy to do anything apparently.
Right. Well, he was doing stuff. Yeah, you're right. Especially,
I guess, Well, that's that is the thing. He was doing stuff, but then he goes and helps his kid because that's he needs to get his heart in the right place.
Such a confusing riddle. Paul, how about you? Did you feel this was an improvement over the first one, and why?
I think I am going to be the dissenting voice tonight. I am going to say no. I did not think it was better than the first. There were certainly things about this movie that I enjoyed. I laughed a lot through the movie, but I did not feel at the end of the film that it was better than the first.
Are you sure you watched the same movie?
I did. I know people are not going to agree with me.
I just kidding.
But hey, I like the original Thor, and there's a lot of people that don't like that one. So that kind of gauges where my mindset is on superhero films. So that's why I'm going to be different, and not because I want to be different. It's just at the end of the movie, that's how I felt. I felt like, wow, this was a great movie. I still like the first one better. There was much more surprises for me in the first movie. I did like the rap, the Juggernaut rap. I thought that was extremely amusing. That was one of the highlights of the thing. But overall, it just felt to me like there was a lot of good gags. But overall, the story wasn't this. It wasn't the origin story that I guess it was. It was much more cohesive for me. And then this one was just like, oh yeah, these are. Oh, that was funny. That was funny. That was funny. Oh, that was exciting. Oh, that was sad. And that's just how I felt. It was a different type of roller coaster ride for me. And if I had to compare it to the first movie, I'm going to have to honestly say I like the first movie better.
See, and that surprises me because in the first one, it felt more like shtick, and then, a little bit. Whereas in this one had, for me, a more a story that I was looking forward to and I was hoping that we would get because it was outrageous. But for me, I enjoyed this a lot better. But maybe it's because I am exhausted of superhero origin stories too. But the first one I loved, and it had heart, and this one I thought had the same one and built off of it. So I find that interesting that you saw it that way, because for me, I thought the other one felt more shticky, if you will, so that they could establish it and get all the cool Deadpool stuff in there. And then this one, since they've established that world and got away with it, and found out they could get away with it, they just let loose and did a lot more of what I was looking for. Especially after hearing everybody talk about Deadpool, because in all honesty, I'm not too familiar with the character outside of what I've caught from my friends, such as you and the first Deadpool film and bits and pieces here and there, but I hadn't really followed the comic at all. So, for me, this one, I liked the story. I thought it was interesting. They played it more at the angle of family, which felt like a natural progression from the first one, which was a love story of the two. So the natural progression is then moved to family and the idea of family. And, and I like the addition of the characters, which I thought was funny when they decided to build X-Force. Glenn, were they playing with people and trying to get their hopes up? Because the X-Force was even in the trailer. Do you think they were playing it up a bit, saying, "Oh, look, we're teasing the next film which we're going to have, which is an X-Force film. So here's all these great characters." And don't they just blow that up in your face?
They do, and if we're getting X-Force in the next movie, I really hope they leave Shatterstar dead.
He is kind of a dick.
Oh, he's the worst. The worst. So yeah. But no, I did love how they just boom, all of them at Domino are dead. I love that. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was hilarious, and especially the surprise cameo that they had. Paul, how'd you feel about them teasing you with the X-Force only to have them rip it away from you rather quickly?
That was very creative. It was unexpected, and like you guys said, it was they build it up and right away they're just like, boom, done, ha ha, and it was cool. It was refreshing. That part was definitely another highlight. There's a lot of highlights in this film, I'm going to say that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be an interesting thing. And then also too, it was just it adds to the character of Deadpool a lot in that, his leadership abilities. That's amazing.
He's trying. He
is
really trying hard. You can tell he's got his heart's in the right place, but he doesn't have the skills to really work well with others. So he's trying, even when he picks those others himself. I just remember when the trailer came out, people were talking about, "Oh, we're gonna get an X-Force, and you see it, and they build it up like, yeah, and then they all die in horrible accidents. Don, how'd you feel with the X-Force?
I thought they handled it well. As they were introducing all the X-Force members, I'm like, holy crap. And then, yeah. And then, yeah. Did anybody happen to notice there was a very little reference. It was like on a taxi, advertisement on a taxi for Alpha Flight.
Oh. No, I missed it.
It was just barely there.
Wow.
But it was definitely there. So that's a thing that's already been introduced into the MCU. Let's see where that goes.
Well, and see, that's what I find interesting is I'm you three especially are very enriched with comic book knowledge, and myself not quite so much, at least not more of the obscure stuff. And it really seems fun how Deadpool seems to be digging into the archives for some of these characters. And I find it interesting because I come home then and I do research and I'm like, holy crap, that is an actual character in the comic. Like, who was that? Black Jim Tower or whatever that was?
Black Tom.
Black Tom?
Yeah, Black Tom.
I'm like reading that going, wait, what? Really? Which was very interesting with this X-Force. And Peter, we can't forget.
Oh, yes, Peter.
Bless his heart. And then the cameo, yes, this is the spoiler room, so we're going to spoil the shit out of it. Yes, the Vanisher ends up being Brad Pitt. Paul, how'd you feel about that when he showed up?
I was not expecting it, and then just to see him flashing in there, I was like, you have to do a double take. I was like, wait, was that? Oh, my God. Oh.
They got other cameos, too. I mean, Terry Crews is in here as Bedlam, so,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Don.
And Matt Damon and Alan Tudyk.
Yep.
Yes, which I did not recognize because, Alan especially because they're all red.
Well, I recognized Alan, but it was my son that pointed out that that Matt Damon was the other redneck.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at first and I saw it twice, and I'm still trying to look. And the first time I didn't even catch that it was Tudyk at first, and then after I saw that he was in, I'm like, oh wait, that was him, and I was noticing like, oh, that is him, cool. But yeah, Matt Damon is almost unrecognizable. But so that's 2 Marvel films now that he's been cameoed in. He's becoming the new Stan Lee, which supposedly he has a cameo in here as well too, but I didn't see him. But
I don't think so. I thought it was just a picture.
It might have been just a picture. That's true. It may have been that, but there are other cameos though, right, Dodd? With Deadpool after he kills himself the first time. We'll talk about in a minute how they handled his death stuff, but he's in the X-Men's mansion, and he's again looking at where are all the X-Men. And Dodd, who do you see?
Oh my God, don't.
That was the whole.
I missed a lot of who was in that room.
It was almost the entire First Class group, wasn't it, Glenn? Did you catch who all was in there?
I did not catch everyone that's there. I mean, obviously, I saw the Beast, and I saw. I'm trying to remember who I else saw.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, Quicksilver. Yeah, Quicksilver was in there. So yeah,
McAvoy was in there too. But did you like those cameos?
Oh yeah, that was great.
Especially after their comments about the studio couldn't fit the bill for them, and they're like closing the door. It's like, oh no, it's Wade. Let's go. That was great.
Beast just slowly closes the door, but I was impressed how many they had in there, because I looked at first, I'm like, oh no, those aren't CGI'd in there or photoshopped in there. They actually got the actors to be in that room. Like, that's impressive that they did that. And of course we have Mohinder back, because you can't have a Deadpool movie without Dopinder. Excuse me, not Dopin. Mohinder. It's Dopinder. Glenn, did you like seeing Dopinder back?
Of course.
But he's got a little more motivation this time, doesn't he? What he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean he wants to he wants to kill people. He wants to be a badass motherfucker.
But it's Dopinder. I mean, he doesn't really exude badassery, but until the end.
Yes, but who is his shining example that he keeps holding up? Kristen Dunst.
Yeah, Kristen Dunst. I couldn't believe they did a interview with a vampire reference.
Killer.
Which was great with Deadpool's going, and now I will never unhear this conversation. I would have never equated Kristen Dunst's character getting her first taste of blood and wanting more to assassination.
Well, Ryan Reynolds, he has quite the skewed worldview.
Ryan Reynolds? No, not at all. He really he just fell right back into this role. And Paul, do you get the feeling that this is the role that Ryan Reynolds was kind of born to play almost?
He is amazing at it, and it does fit him extremely well. He does a great job at it, and he just oozes Deadpool. It's so, yes.
It seems very natural for him. I mean,
it really does.
It's like one of those perfect fits. You get some of those characters like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Conan. I'm going to throw that out there because it's one of my favorite castings ever. And this one too, he just seems natural at it. I mean, it seems like no effort for him to do this role. And in this one, yeah, he definitely goes, but he still brings the heart, because we do get those scenes after his girlfriend, once again played by the talented Marina Baccarin, who, we still would love to see back on the Firefly, but it was great to see her here. And we get those touching moments when he dies And I just thought it was interesting how they handled this. Don, how'd you feel how they handled this with Deadpool? When he dies, he kind of goes in the watery world back to his apartment.
Oh, his version of the white light. Sure, it was. I appreciated the departure from the typical cliche. Let's put it that way. I didn't think I liked when the first time at the beginning of the movie, the first time he, exploded himself. I appreciated the departure from the typical death sequence, heaven, pearly gates, white light, what have you. I kind of liked that water thing. I liked the whole boundary wall. I loved the music.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I see, and I'm not familiar with the comics, so I'm not sure how they handled it when he would completely be obliterated in the comic, how they would handle that, what kind of happens to him in between at all. So I don't know if that was ever conveyed or if it was consistent at all, but my impression with Deadpool is there's not a huge amount of consistency outside of he can't die.
But because of that, that's why I thought the scene was sort of a kind of a metaphor to what you would expect Deadpool to have, because he has this weird relationship with Lady Death along with Thanos, and in the fact that she knows he can't die, and so she kind of taunts him a lot, and she motivates him to do a lot of things in the comic books and in the video games. So to me, Vanessa represented the Lady Death type character, and that he could never join her in death, just like Lady Death, because of his powers. And the only way that he could eventually meet with her and die was to get rid of his powers and so forth. So to me, that was kind of and I'm probably reading way too deeply into a comedy, but
no,
that's what I got out of that whole exchange. And then him having to go back to me was like, yes, in the comic books he often ends up having these like weird sequences with Lady Death and so forth. So
yeah, so it surprised me. Glenn, how'd you feel with these death scenes in here? It kind of added a little bit of weight to something that's like an over-the-top comedy with extreme violence, and suddenly you get these scenes in here with Vanessa.
I think they play out well because it's when Deadpool is not. It's when he's. I don't even know if I want to say he's just Wade. He's just human.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not wisecracking and all that stuff. He's just a hurt, frail person who misses the woman he loves.
Yeah, and it surprised me. Both Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, what has surprised me is they have all these extremely funny and extremely violent scenes, and mixed in here is some levity, is some weight and some depth to this film that you would not expect normally from a movie like this, and yet they seem to, with both films, really give a balance to it, I thought. Now, I know, Paul, you didn't think so much, but would you say, though, still, even though I know you didn't quite care for it, wouldn't you say scenes like this, though, almost feel a little unexpected from a type of movie that, outside of Deadpool, that you would normally get like this, with the violence and the comedy?
Yes, but we already talked about how Ryan Reynolds is an ideal character for Deadpool, and that's one of the reasons is that he can pull off these emotional relationship type scenes along with the comedy and along with the action. So that's just another reason why he's such a good fit for the role. And you hit it on the head. This one does have a lot of that emotional impact. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and it's surprised. I'm like, wow, they're able to do this again. I didn't think they were able to do it twice with this. And then, we're getting Deadpool ripped in half by Juggernaut and enjoying it. Go ahead.
As you're talking about the balance between levity and gravity in this movie, I want to point out my reference to the music being you have the levity where that whole sequence when he's dying with Ha's Take on Me. But then that's during his serious moment when he is being the fragile human Wade. But then when he is being Deadpool and Kraken Wise, did any of you notice that the music that was playing was the same music that played when Logan died?
No, I didn't. Was it
so
really?
That's a very serious piece of music there from a very serious scene in another movie,
but
offsetting that incredibly humorous moment.
Oh, I missed that part. I might have to go watch the movie again and check that out.
Twist your arms.
Twist my arm, right? Though, it would make sense they use that considering we opened the film with the most ultimate music box. Logan on a spike, which I loved, and I think they need to sell those. Because I sure as hell would buy one. But you're right, Don. The music in here actually plays a lot. It did in the first one too. It kind of set the 80s tone a bit with Deadpool's theme hearkening to a Michael Jackson type music or 80s type music. And in here, yeah, you have those themes, and then of course the Juggernaut theme, which I didn't catch at first, but did you catch the words right away while the action scene was going on, Glenn, or did you catch it more at the end? What the words were?
What was that?
For the Juggernaut, when we had the Juggernaut theme and you had the chorus going during the action scenes, did you catch the words and what was actually being said during those scenes, or did you wait till the end credits and be able to tell what they were actually saying for the Juggernaut chant, I guess it is?
No, I did not.
Oh, because at the end they play the whole thing, and Paul, what are they saying? Because you mentioned you enjoyed that part.
They're talked about like oh balls, and it was done in a kind of a like a what do you call it, like a choir of
yeah,
and it was just like it was kind of like an oh shit type moment. They were going through it, and as they were going through it, it was hard not to laugh at that. And then when you finally got to hear all the words at the end, it was funny as hell.
Yeah. I caught some of the words because I'm watching the scene with Fire Fist going after the the doctor who was supposed to be reforming the mutants, and he was just torturing them. And then you're seeing Juggernaut and Colossus fight, and all of a sudden I was here, and I'm like, wait, did they just say oh shit? They did say oh shit. They said it's like oh shit, oh fuck, oh Juggernaut. And that just added to it. But yeah, the music really plays a role in this film, and we got a couple more people we want to talk about because we got insane action scenes, as you can imagine, and such. But these characters that we have, Cable. I mean, Glenn, how'd you feel about Cable and Josh Brolin, who we just saw as Thanos?
Wait, what? He's Thanos?
Supposedly.
I liked him as Cable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a ton. I haven't really read anything about Cable for quite a while. I know that the HeroClix figure I had from him was pretty cool. But I mean, I liked him as the character. I think he did well as the character. I mean, what I know of Cable, I like. Although he's really, it's I don't know. There's parts I like, and there's parts where I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I wasn't too familiar with him either. Outside of, I knew he was a mutant cyborg. Paul, how'd you feel about Cable's portrayal in here?
I appreciated that they didn't CG the crap out of him in this particular case because of the fact that we saw him as Thanos. I enjoyed the fact that Ryan Reynolds was able to play off on a lot of the different things off of Cable. The fact of making the reference to the Goonies, I thought was hilarious. Making a reference to Thanos, and then also making a reference to the DC universe was kind of hilarious. It's like, you're so dark.
You're not from the DC universe.
Wow.
Yeah, I figured that was coming, but I like they mentioned the height too. He's like,
oh yes,
here he is, 5'11", not like in the comics.
Oh my goodness.
Don, how'd you feel about Cable?
I'm not overly familiar with the comic book character, but I do like what they did with him from his from when the way he appeared in the world, from his. So how much of this did you catch, Mark? Tell me. When he appeared by the rednecks and the dialogue and the jacket and the music playing. Blatant ripoff or homage?
A little of both, I think it was intended to be.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at that going, they replicated that scene almost identically from Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
Down to the music.
Yeah, they were definitely going for the Terminator vibe on that one.
Yeah.
He grabbed the beer too, which I loved. I love the fact that he grabs the beer. Yeah, I dug Cable quite a bit in here. I like what they did with it. I'm glad he wasn't ending up being the main villain, if you will, like you might get the impression of in the
Especially
trailer.
From that introduction.
And from his introduction. I like the fact he was the guy on the mission, and Paul, you do sympathize with Cable, don't you? In this,
yes, but because I know a lot about Cable in the fact that he does in many ways I feel that Cable is kind of Deadpool's kind of buddy, and I'm glad to hear that he'll be in a lot more movies. So potentially, you could see more, potentially even like a buddy cop type thing going on. I would love that. I would just love to see that. And you do sympathize with him because he has a great motivation. It is about his family, and yes, it's about revenge. But hey, this movie was about family, so it had to be that. And he is kind of like royalty in the X-Men type of thing because he's basically the son of Cyclops and Madeline Pryor, and so and his like half brothers and sisters are really big in the X-Men universe, and so to have him there for the first time, to see him on the screen was really nice. And then the fact that they really focused not on his powers but on his motivations, and the fact that he did seem like you wouldn't expect a villain to go up to the hero and say, hey, I made a mistake, I need your help. That's really nice to be able to see that. So they did a wonderful job with Cable, indeed.
Yeah, when he shows up halfway through the film going, I need your help, the whole baby leg. The baby legs of Deadpool.
My God.
Oh. And of course we have Deadpool's buddy back, who is just, I love this guy's delivery. That is just disturbing in so many ways. Oh, you're just out there, aren't you? Just was it shirt cocking it? Like shirt cocking. I don't think I've ever heard that term until right now. And we have our other fun side characters back, as we mentioned, and the new character who's badass, who I said I think she needs her own movie already, or at least we need to see more of her, is Domino. Dawn, how'd you feel about Domino?
She was more interesting than I expected.
Considering her power, her
Is,
superpower.
well, considering her power is luck, but I'm not horribly familiar with her, but it kind of seemed like her good luck is everybody else's bad luck.
Yeah. Right.
Because, oh my God, there was a lot of destruction in her wake.
There was when cars flipping and crashing, and she needed to slow down the jail cell, whatever it was, armored car, and she's just smashing it through buildings and other cars. I'm like, holy crap! But she was okay. So, there is that. Glenn, did you like Zazie Beetz' Domino?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was, as many comic fans do, people were losing their shit when they first saw pictures of her as Domino, because that's not fucking Domino. That shut the hell up. Abel's also not 5'11", so yeah. No, I thought she was fantastic. I love the way that they played off luck as a superpower. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, doesn't look like Domino from the comics. So the hell what? I mean, we are how many films into, and I know this isn't like, direct, Marvel, extended universe stuff, but how many films has Marvel made now? Or how many comic book movies have there been made, period? Not even just Marvel. How many comic book movies have there been made? And can you point to any single one of them that said, that was 100% faithful to the original material?
Yeah.
Without people hating it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a single one that's been like 100%, this is exactly the comic.
Right.
So the fact that people still lose their shit over it just blows my mind. I'm like, where is this seriously the first comic film you've watched? Because this has been going on for decades.
It goes back to what we've had conversations with before with comic book films. There's a difference between what you get and accept reading on a printed page, and when you bring it to life in live action, it's in a completely different context, and some of it just doesn't work, or you want to change it because why else make the film? If I'm just going to replicate exactly what's in the comic, then why make the film? At least that's my feeling. So yeah, I'm with you on it. It's like, okay, so they made changes. As long as it's good changes and not like Green Lantern, oh look, the lantern looks more like the egg sac of a shark. As long as they make good changes, I'm all for it. Paul, how about you?
I had no problems with her performance. And I was surprised at how many people didn't even give the actor a chance to prove that she could do the role. I did enjoy how they utilized her power.
Mm-hmm.
I would never have expected it to come out that way, and I think they did a really great job, and they did it in a humorous way. So,
yeah, it was great that they had Deadpool play off of it, because he is asking the questions that I'm sure some people in the audience who are just the casual comic book movie fan are going, okay, good luck. Luck is her superpower. Really? Like he says, that's not really cinematic, but they made it cinematic and they conveyed it well to where you buy into her character and her power of luck. And I didn't think they would be able, but they do pull that off. So yeah, I really enjoyed her character, and it made me want to see more of her character. More so than maybe some of the other X-Force that end up dying. Though I would liked to see Bedlam more, but I like Terry Crews, so I would have really Zeitgeist. Oh, you have your finger on the pulse of today's youth. No, I vomit acidic.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Acidic vomit. Oh, okay. What that has to do with Zeitgeist, I don't know. But he's a legitimate character from the comics, right? Or
yes, he
is.
Is he really? Peter was the only one I think that wasn't really.
Actually, Peter there's rumor that he might have been a hero of that they didn't show any of his powers. But even though in the movie they didn't have any powers at all, but I think there was rumor about him being a potential character. I can't remember whom, but yeah, Peter was you know how everybody loves to speculate, and there was speculation that Peter was actually one of these heroes. So it was we might see what his power is if he actually does. I hope they don't give him any powers because I think that would be the ultimate power.
The ultimate power is not have any. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it'd be awesome if he comes back, you know, in an X-Force movie and they have Peter back and you have some kind of villain or someone who uses something that affects everyone with, you know, every metahuman, and he just walks up and stops them. I mean, after all, you know, the main bad guy, the headmaster of the reform, and I put that in quotes, school, who actually is torturing these mutant kids, Dopinder actually in the end offs the bad guy with his ultimate weapon of the taxi. So, you know, here at the end, the person with the superpower is actually kind of off the main bad guy in this one. I guess the headmaster would be the main bad guy in this, but so yeah, totally could see Peter coming back for another film, especially with that end credit sequence, which I'm going to save near the end to talk about. But just before that, the action sequences. Paul, how'd you feel about the action sequences in here? Could you tell it was handled by the same guy who brought us Atomic Blonde and who was uncredited in John Wick?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was just absolutely the choreography was great, and I loved the little throwback with the and it's probably not that choreographer, but with the blades and the thing that went back to the X-Men Origins Wolverine and and the fact that it didn't work was the best thing, because it was like wait, this is a superhero thing, but of all the superhero things you would think that this one wouldn't be the most realistic, but this was. So
ow, your bullets hurt.
Yes. But yeah, the fight scenes, the way that they took, like how Wade takes out some of the people at the beginning of the film was truly amazing. I could not see any flaws in that, and really did bring up the excitement level of the film for that reason. You know, just
what about the big CGI fight? Big CGI fight,
drawing attention to that. I'm glad they didn't go overboard because they could have, and I thought they ended it quite shockingly.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Glenn, how about you in the action sequences?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, very over the top, but I think it was done well. And a lot of the over top stuff was primarily the domino scenes.
Yeah,
cars flying through the air and stuff like that. But no, I actually loved it.
Cool. Don, how about you?
I thought they were great.
Mm-hmm. Anyone in particular that you enjoyed?
Not necessarily.
No. Me personally, I will never hear the song 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton quite the same way ever again. Yeah. I mean, of all the songs, they opened the movie with 9 to 5 as he's lopping people's heads and limbs and arms off. I'm like, out of all the songs that are out there, I would have not equated that with this. But it made sense because he was talking about it, how it's his job. And I'm like, that actually works, though. It's funny, but it works, doesn't it, Paul?
Yes.
So, the fact they had her song going while limbs are being cut off was just, yeah. I personally, I did enjoy the actual Juggernaut and Colossus. I liked Colossus in this quite a bit. We get to see a lot more of him. Would have liked to see more of Negasonic, but what we do get to see. In fact, that would be an awesome movie of Domino and Negasonic, with of course Yukio who's her own badass in this. She shows up, which I didn't expect because I'm, again, not familiar with all the characters. It pulls out with the electro blade. I'm like, holy shit. She's Negasonic's girlfriend and she kicks ass. But of course she would, right?
Yep.
And then we get what I call it was actually the mid-credit sequence to end all credit sequences. Oh, Dawn, did you see this coming at all?
Okay, the mid-credit sequence, so this was after Negasonic fixed Cable's little device thingy?
Right.
When he starts going around and fixing things?
Yes.
Yeah. You're right, I should have expected it. It didn't surprise me. I should have expected it. It was entertaining just how meta they got.
Oh, I was like, wow. And then I was like, well, they could get away with it because X-Men Origins was shot by the same studio, so I guess they do have the rights to do that. But Glenn, how about you? How'd you feel about the mid and somewhat end credit sequence?
I rather enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, as soon as they're like, "Oh, what have we done?"
Yeah,
and then it's like I'm like, well, okay, he's gonna go back and save
his girl,
Vanessa.
save his girl, and then he goes back and saves Peter. I like that. I don't care about the rest of these other people. It's just Peter. You're gonna save Peter. That's the one we're gonna save. I think, and it fits with the character overall. And it didn't even normally it's I'm one of those people who, when you talk about time travel stuff, whereas, I get all into the paradoxes and whatnot. It's like, but if you go back in time and save this person, then you wouldn't have been all mad and did the things that made you run into this person that let you get the thing that lets you go back in time to save the person. So, and it usually makes my head hurt, but this was just fun, so I just let it go. Yeah,
you knew in the end this part here at the end was just them having fun. It wasn't really, I don't think, meant to be. Maybe the only reason was so that they could bring Marina Baccarin back for the third one. But I think it'd be kind of funny if she didn't. If that mid-credit sequence was completely not canon, it was just the extra. Though I think they did it, so they could bring her back in the third one. But Paul, how about you with this sequence?
I thought it was nice. It really it was the only believable potential thing that they could do. Just because you had a guy that can travel through time. What are you going to do with that power? Of course you're going to steal it and set things right that once went wrong. Wait.
You got to use the cheese spreader.
Yes. And the way he fixed things. Yeah, the way he fixed things was nice as well. Is that, he just made these subtle little nudges that made all the difference,
Well, not so subtle. When he shoots the Deadpool from Wolverine Origins, that was just the audience I was in. I mean, everybody was chuckling at the other ones,
Yeah.
And then when he got there and he shot, people cheered, and then he kept shooting the body.
That was like wish fulfillment for him, I think.
That was wish fulfillment, I think, for everyone.
Nice. Yes.
I think that was, and then him shooting himself before he accepts the Green Lantern script.
Yes.
It's like, wow. Which, while it was funny and it was a good shtick, it still falls back to the first one where he makes a joke about him being in Green Lantern with a CGI suit. So it still fit within the film, too. So...
the ultimate fourth wall break.
The ultimate fourth. Wait, is this a fourth wall break within a fourth wall break? That's like 16 walls. That was from the first one, which it was great to see Blind Al back as well. She is hilarious, though she couldn't aim her gun. Which was another thing, though. I like the fact that I think you could watch this film and not have to see the first one, but you do miss out on some of the inside jokes, don't you, Glenn? Like, what he had hidden in the apartment.
Oh, yeah.
The cocaine and the cure for blindness, which is exactly what he said in the first one. Would you say that someone who hadn't seen Deadpool 2 could still pretty much follow this, though they might not get all the internal, all the references?
Yeah, you can still follow it, sure.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some things that people might question, like, so wait, why is Hottie McHotterson with spaghetti face there?
Yeah. Well, she's not as picky, that's all.
Yeah.
Don, how about you with this? Would you recommend it? Would you say even if you didn't see the first one, you could still see this one, or do you think
yeah. And to an extent, they do go back and explain why they're together, sort of ish, because they do have those sequences from when they were he was looking for the cure to his cancer.
Yes. Yeah. They do have those sequences yet. So, yeah. And Paul, how about you? Same thing? Would you agree that you could watch this and still enjoy it?
You could, but I would still highly recommend that you watch the first one. If anything, just to get the whole skee ball thing. They did explain it, but it seemed like it was very glossed over. But they didn't need to go into it if you've seen the first movie, obviously. So that's that balance that they have to maintain in this film. Is like, do we want to go into detail with this thing, or do we just want to mention it? And let's face it, who hasn't seen the first movie that's going to go see this? They would have, or they would have, in preparation for Deadpool 2, would have watched. So, yeah.
And I would say you could still watch this one and not have seen the first one, the origin story first, and still follow 95% of it. You may not get when the audience laughs when he takes the cocaine and cure for blindness out of the floor of the apartment, but
but that joke stands alone because you have a blind person and he's basically hiding the cure for blindness in the floorboards so that the person that is blind in the household can't see it. So, that joke by itself could, land.
It still does land. So
yeah.
I that's why one of these, I thought it was one of the better recent modern sequels in the fact that, especially for a superhero one, in the fact you really didn't have to see the first one in order to follow what was going on here. Even with the crazy credits, though, we get a James Bond opening this time with that actually really awesome song from Celine Dion, which I never would have expected. When that video appeared on YouTube, I was like, what the hell? Celine Dion? And this is actually a decent song from Deadpool 2. Paul, what do you think? You think you'll see a nomination for it in the Academy Award?
Yes, because they at one point they nominated one of the things from the South Park movie. So if they could do that film, they could definitely do this. They could do this one.
Actually, sure. I think it won that year too.
Did it win?
I think.
Was it the Blame Canada one?
Yeah, the Blame Canada one. I think actually won. But then again, we have Academy Award winner Eminem. So. Oh, real quick, what'd you think of the Celine Dion James Bond opening to Deadpool? Did you like the song?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I said Don.
Oh, yeah, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pleasant change.
A little more serious than what you might expect from the film, considering.
Yeah, it was.
Who you're talking about here. But what do you think? Academy Award nomination for it next year?
I hope not. I mean, it's a good movie, but
well, for the song anyway, not for the movie.
Oh, for the song, sure. Yeah. Great sequence.
Yeah. How about you,
very
Glenn?
Octopussy.
Yeah, it was very Octopussy.
Yeah. Oh, I love the opening sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I didn't quite expect it, but then I saw some promo pictures later on where one of them was him parodying James Bond. I'm like, holy crap. And then when you see the song, or you hear the song in the movie and you see the sequence, you go, it makes so much sense, because you see the YouTube video and you're like, this is a really great song, but how does this fit into Deadpool 2? Although I will say, the way his character is, and I know you're all comic book fans, nobody throw poo at me, but I suddenly want to see a Deadpool The Mask crossover.
Oh, wow. That would be cool. Because,
not saying completely, I like Deadpool better, but I really enjoyed Jim Carrey's The Mask. I know it was a departure from what it was in the comics, but still, I loved his portrayal. And there were some similarity feelings as far as the personality goes between, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool and Jim Carrey's Mask. Are you guys going to beat me for that, or am I not totally off on it? I mean, they're both over the top characters, but it's just something that dawned on me the second time I watched it. You're not going to beat me, are you, Glenn, for that?
Beat you? No. Maybe. Possibly.
I might enjoy it. But we'll wrap it up here tonight, I think. I'm just going down line real quick and see if there's anything we may not have talked about that my panel would like to discuss with this. And Paul, how about you? Is there a question or something that we may not have touched on with Deadpool?
Oh, there probably is, but I'm going to defer. Defer? I'm going to defer.
Defer.
Yes, I like defer.
Defer. Chewbacca has lots of defer.
Defer, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to defer to my other panelists.
Sure. Don, how about you? Anything we talked about that or haven't talked about you'd like to touch on?
Nope, I think we hit the highlights.
Awesome. Glenn, how about you? Chimichangas, yes. And we will wrap it up tonight. And maximum effort in making chimichangas. And now, damn it, after our other discussion, I want pizza and chimichangas. I don't know why, but now I do. So we'll wrap it up here tonight, folks. Hope this discussion you found interesting about Deadpool 2. Go see it if you haven't already, even if you haven't seen the first one. It's a fun time at the cinema, especially if you're looking for a break from your standard superhero fare and you need an uplifting moment after the depressing ending of Infinity War. This is a good follow-up. It'll get you some some therapy in here. You get to watch Deadpool laugh as he gets ripped in half by Juggernaut, who actually looked more like Juggernaut in this one. So now we can go down the line and you can hear where you can find these folks when they're not here. Dawn?
You might be able to find me in the audience.net.
It's still up, I think, isn't it?
Well, it's still up. I'm just not being very good at updating.
You've just been a busy woman, but there's still plenty of awesome reviews written there by you, because your written word is far more better than what I could write. So check those out in the audience.net. Great written stuff there, both blockbuster and some cult stuff as well. And Glenn, how about you?
You could maybe find me on YouTube with the B-Movie Bunker and Guy in a Bunker Productions. Maybe find the same stuff on Facebook. Maybe check out guyinabunker.com. Maybe check out my gaming podcast, Adventure Party, on gncast.com. Or just follow me on Twitter, @guyinabunker.
Awesome. Glenn also creates some awesome games. So, yes, look up all that good stuff, and you can find out the awesome games Glenn makes. So, or he's got in the hopper as well. So, all good stuff, as well as his B-Movie Bunker stuff. If anything, you've got plenty of videos there, especially when he does his 31 Days of Horror from October. Lots of watching material there. Great stuff. So, and Paul, how about you, sir? Where can they find you at?
I invite everybody to join the conversation about movies on Film Jerks. You can check us out on Facebook /groups/Film Jerks.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. Check all that stuff out. Film Jerks is a lot of fun. Paul has really made that podcast his own, and it's definitely worth a listen to. So, yes, folks, we are going to go have our chimichangas and Bloody Marys. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. We thank you so much for listening. And now, just say, I don't know. Say goodnight.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Good night, all. Hey, all my friends out there looking for more Spoiler Room goodness? Then why don't you check out our brand new Patreon page, patreon.com/specialmarkproductions, where you can get access to exclusive Spoiler Room episodes and a whole lot more. You can also find us on Facebook groups at SMPRD and on to Twitter at SpecialMarkPro. Let your voice be heard and let us know what you would like to see in the Spoiler Room, as well as just how we're doing in general. We appreciate your support, and remember, in the Spoiler Room, the conversation is fresh, but we do spoil the movies.